Hello everybody, so welcome back. In the last video, you all saw me designing Simpleon's era. Today, we are going to be designing the next era in my life, which happens all the way from age 11 to age 14. She is known as Star Vaporeon. In fact, a few of you might actually know me from that era. And, she is a bit shy, so while I did get a message from her here, she is a bit soft-spoken, so you'd have to, listen closely to hear her. Anyways, here she is. Hey, I'm Star Vaporeon. I sorry, I don't really know how to talk. I guess just enjoy my, story, I guess. Can I go now? Yeah, like y'all saw there, she is really shy. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into all of these designs. I can't talk. Enjoy! The first person we are going to be talking about today is none other than Mother! Yes, my parents are going to be appearing in every single era, and they're going to be differently designed each time. Now, for Star Vaporeon's era, apart from Star Vaporeon herself, I wanted to give everyone more simple, kind of low-effort designs, because a lot of people in this era don't really deserve to have effort put into their designs. Now, the only reason my parents have pretty simple designs is because these were the designs I actually used before I came up with the era concept. Now, of course, my mom, she is super awesome and I love her, but I would say during my rebellious teenage years, we butt heads quite a lot, mainly because she was from a strict household and she, of course, wanted to make sure I did not turn out bad, and of course I think she did a good job, but I guess as a teenager I did a lot of messed up things myself and saw her as just me not wanting to have fun. And because of this, I would often get into arguments or butt heads or be very rude to her. I don't quite remember why it was always her, because I don't think I ever got into a big argument with my dad, probably because he was more laid back and stuff. But I will say, despite all of that, my mom still came through very much, especially since this era is where my mental health was not very good. She still was able to help me. She was there for me, and near the end of my era in year 14, I started to really understand all she did for me, and to be honest, I'm really grateful that she was strict because it prevented me from doing things a lot worse. But here she is, and some of you might have known her at the time as Star Sylveon. Very pretty design. She's pretty in real life, obviously. Oh yar, next up we got my father. So during this era, I would say that I was a very, very, very big daddy's girl. I think it's mainly because I'm more alike to him personality-wise. We kind of just got each other's humor, and we bonded a lot over Pokemon Go and silly cartoons, and I think that I was never argued with him because we didn't really have anything to argue about. I do remember, though, that there were a few times where I did end up pushing his buttons, and he was very scary when being mad, I will tell you that right now. But he still is a very silly guy, and he was also there with me through, Star Vaporeon's era too, because I encountered a lot of crummy people, and he always told me one of my favorite quotes: it's better to have a few good friends than have a bunch of fake ones. He always was able to lighten my mood with jokes and being silly, and even though I'd be annoyed or upset, he could still manage to make me laugh no matter what. I also remember that I had a very crazy imagination with crossovers between all of my favorite shows, and I would always tell him stories and have him make up stories as well. We just go back and forth telling each other stories, and I thought that for this era, he's also pretty simple, but he's always going to have that silly little smile on his face, and he is going to be known as Star Flareon. Here he is. I think he turned out really well. Just a silly little guy. Yep, we got Milk. Some of you might actually know Milk, because they used to be included on my channel. Milk was gonna be someone I would meet in 6th grade, and we were very fast friends, and I remember that they were the first person I really developed a crush on, apparently. And I remember that when I confessed, we were together for 2 years, so probably my longest relationship. Looking back at it, I don't really think it was a good relationship because I was over here, I was struggling with religion, and they were struggling with gender identity and LGBTQ and stuff like that, and it kind of interfered with my own religion. Plus, I also remember my parents saying that, like, it wasn't right for a girl to marry a girl, and while in my perspective that may be true, back then I thought they were just being rude, and I'd get offended about it, and a lot of times I would start wanting, or preferring, milk over my family. Now, the reason I gave Milk one eyelash and not, like, on both eyes is because during the era I knew her, she was a girl, then identified as they, them, then he, him, and changed his name to Aster and stuff like that. I mean, it's still she, her in the end, I guess, but I guess that while there were a lot of good memories, there was also a lot of bad, and I remember it took a lot of courage for me to get her out of my life, but when I did, I realized it was probably for the best, and I have been feeling a lot better. I just wonder where they are now. Oh boy, this one's a bit of a tough one. This is, the name is gonna be Espion Lover, mainly because this was the name she came up with for herself. I'm not gonna say her real name. So, Espion Lover here was someone I also met in 6th grade. And at first we were like besties for the resties, bestest friends, holy crap. But I don't know what happened, but to my perspective, she started to be like pretty rude. And I remember as someone who was dealing with ARPID, she kind of seemed to like shame me for my own eating disorder that I couldn't really control. And we would get into arguments a lot, and she said some really hurtful things, and I remember that after I confronted her and decided to end my friendship, she treated me like I was the bad guy and was blaming me for this, and I ended up apologizing, even though I personally think I did not have anything to apologize for. And I mean, I was a little bit screwed up in the head during middle school, but I feel like that I didn't really do anything rude to her. I was just trying to be a friend, and I hadn't had many friends before, so I didn't really know how to handle a friend, but I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a couple years, but I don't know why, or why she acted the way she did, but, it is going to be a bit hard for me to talk about her, but it's not going to be as hard unlike the next person you're going to see. I had to talk about him eventually. Here we go. This is Cohen the Umbreon, the first relationship I had, my first ex, and, I don't really like him very much. I mean, the reason our relationship had ended was because I was kind of being a bit of a jerk, and flirting with other boys in the school, even though I was with him, and here's the thing, that was wrong of me to do, and his breakup with me over that was totally valid. I don't see why he was bad for that. The reason that I consider him so rude is that he kept, like, holding a grudge. Like, I get that he didn't exactly have to forgive me, but, like, he was extremely rude. He would bully me, called me a lot of rude names. I remember there were a few times he tried making me lose consciousness. He was a very big bully, and he made me feel bad about myself a lot, and I beat up myself over it. And I mean, while I wasn't the wrong in the relationship, I don't feel like he should have treated me the way he did. He was also very rude in other ways I really don't want to specify right now. But I'm kind of glad that I don't have to deal with him anymore. But it's, out of all the people, that's just probably the hardest for me to talk about here. Now, I will say, while this also was kind of a friendship that ended, I will say this was probably the least toxic friendship I had. This is gonna be Max, whose character name is gonna be Sunflower. He was also one of my best friends who I had met before the others, and I remember that he was a really funny guy. He was extremely hilarious. I went to his house a few times, and we'd like watch movies. We'd talk to each other a lot about like our interests and movies we like, and I remember he really loved sunflowers and green, so I wanted to put that into his character here. I think the reason our friendship faded was because due to me being really messed up. Like, we never had a fight, we never like not got along. I think just slowly we stopped talking, we were talking less and less, till it got to the point we didn't talk to each other at all. And like I said, it was not his fault, and he was not a bad friend. Probably one of the greatest friends I had during that era. I think it's just I was so upset because I think middle school was just hard on me, and I kind of separated myself from everyone, including him. And I think that he kind of understood that I was going through a lot and didn't really try bugging me about it. I was never like rude to ignore him or call him off. I just kind of didn't really talk. But he was still one of the greatest friends I had during that era. And I don't think he was a bad person at all. I feel a bit bad, honestly, because I kind of stopped talking to him and he didn't really do anything wrong. But I am glad I had him during middle school, I will say that. Last but not least, while there are a lot of significant teachers in this era, the one I really wanted to talk about was my 8th grade history teacher, Miss McCoy, who will be known as Snowfall. Now, at first I was a bit skeptical because I didn't think she showed much emotion, really. But as the year went on, I realized she was a super cool, super chill teacher. She made history really interesting, and she was a very understanding teacher. I remember when we had a tornado thingy go on at middle school, she was there to she sat next to me, she helped calm me down, trying to tell me it was okay. And I think that when I was dealing with probably at one of my lowest points in 8th grade, I think that she kind of understood where I was coming from, and she was really nice. She helped me a lot with tests too, and would let me retake tests a lot, since during middle school my grades weren't exactly the best. I just think that she understood and knew how I felt. In fact, at the end of the year, I remember she gave me a trophy because earlier I had mentioned, man, I want a trophy, but I've never gotten one. So she freaking made a giant trophy all on her own that said "Awesome Human," and I still have it on my nightstand. And I think that was one of the sweetest things anyone had ever done for me. And I hope that she's still doing well now. She was probably the best teacher I had out of all of middle school, and I'm really excited to talk about her, I'll be honest about that one. Anyways, here she is. I hope you all enjoyed watching me design Star Vaporeons era. I think her era is a bit unique because some of you watching this video probably knew me when I was in that era, so shout out to you guys. I will probably be posting more information about each era and stuff like that. And I do hope you liked seeing all these designs, and while there were so many more people, these are just going to be mainly the significant ones. And yeah, that's about it. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and have a good day. Bye.